Okay, so welcome to our cybersecurity awareness training. We will talk a little bit about Microsoft Teams. I don't have it in the presentation, but we will give you a chance to talk about because we just moved to Teams right before Wendy got here, I think. Yes, we did. And then we're going to talk a little bit also, I think it is in this, is two-factor authentication, which is coming to us soon. Jeff and I are actually doing two-factor authentication with our account here. So we're doing some testing. And then we're going to start rolling that out. And as I speak, there's a phishing attack happening right now. I'll show you guys logging into that account. Don't panic. Jeff's in there. Don't panic. So we're going to talk about phishing and malware, ransomware. All three of these go together. They all kind of do the same bad things. Talk a little bit about protecting your own data, how to even stay safe at home with technology at home. Talk a little bit about mobile devices, what to do when you're out in the world, restaurants and bars and stores, and about connecting to their Wi-Fi's, if you should do that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Teams and two-factor authentication. So phishing is it should actually be spelled with an F, phishing, because what phishing is when people are contacted by email and telephone, and now, more than ever, by text message, right? I don't know if anybody has got these by text message. But it's someone pretending to be someone else, hoping to lure you into doing something, taking an action or providing information. So they're trying to basically trick you into giving out information or clicking on a link, providing credit card information. And the reason they're doing this is because it works. It works all the time. And of course, when it happens to an organization, especially, it can result in financial loss, liability, and your credibility can be lost. And as a person, you can lose money, identity theft. So it really is a terrible thing. So I have a couple, and you probably can't see them here. So these, I took screenshots of these just yesterday. This is from our Barracuda solution. This is what I just said. We have one rolling in now, and we've invested a lot of money and time into very complex cybersecurity solutions here, and a lot of this deals with AI, artificial intelligence. So here, these are messages. I'm going to read these to you that actually came in. You probably can't read them too clearly on that screen. So what phishing does, I'll look at this first one up here. It says it's from Kareem Nelson, who is in finance. So you're going to see it's going to look like it's from Kareem. But Barracuda can see in the back end that it's really from this guy, Richard Town2 at Verizon.net. Cyber criminals can trick the system. They can trick what your envelope sees in your Outlook or your email. So it says it's from Kareem. You think it's from him, but it's really from somebody else. So Barracuda can see this. Your personal email, you wouldn't really be able to see that. And then all of our messages you're going to see that come into the bureau, it has a caution line on top, and it says, just be aware that this message came in from outside your external from our system. We just added that, so that's on all of these. So that should give you a clue right here if you think, right? It says it's from Kareem, but Barracuda is telling you that it came from outside your system. Okay? But then if you read these messages, they do not make sense. Like this one says, how are you? Hope you are keeping safe. Are you available via email? I need your help. Thanks. I'm sure people have gotten these type of messages before. So here's another one that it says it's from Lisa Dorsey. She's a council member. And it's it's from Jordan Norley, who's the mayor, to Lisa Dorsey, who's a council member. But if you look at Jordan's name, and it's not, it's a Gmail account, and it's not from him. But she would not see that if it got through. She would only see that it said Jordan Norley. And here it says, are you available? And the reason these are really short ones, this one down here, to Mike Galey, a council member from Jordan, a mayor, but it's not really from him. Once again, are you available? Very simple. Well, I'll read you one last one because you can see how all these go. To Nick, a council member, again, from Mike Gailey, but it's not from him, if you look at that. Again, Nick, could you please spare a minute to assist me in completing a task discreetly? Would be glad to receive a response through email because I am presently in a meeting. Okay. Now, the reason there's no attachments here, there's nothing dangerous connected to these email messages. And the reason it's called a phishing email, they want this person to respond. And then if they continue to respond, their request will get more and more complex about what they want them to do. So they're luring you in, they're fishing to see who's going to respond to these messages. Unfortunately, with your personal email, you're not getting this type of sophisticated protection. These would end up in your inbox. These probably have ended up in your inbox. Even with what we have here with our solution, some get through. Because it's AI, like these messages aren't going just to one person. They're going to like 10, 20, 30 people. And so it's got to block all of them. And sometimes it will let one or two get through. Then it goes, oh no, this is the AI working. This is not good. And it will block all the rest. But sometimes it does not get in there and clean up the ones that did get through. Eventually it will, but sometimes it could take an hour or so. So that's why when we get these attacks, we usually stop what we're doing. And we go and make sure there was nothing, no stragglers left behind. So when you get messages asking you to do things that don't seem normal, just simply do not respond. Or pick up the phone and call the person. If you think, you can go, hey, Jordan, did you really just email me? And he'll go, no. And then now he knows he has a problem because his information got released, got stolen. So some common features of phishing email. Number one, this is something we learned at a very young age, is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So don't click on messages that are just promising you things. When COVID first hit and the vaccinations first came out, there was a very big cyber attack that was happening over the country where email is coming out saying this is Amazon, and because you got your vaccination, you've earned a free Amazon gift card. And people, they see Amazon gift card, they can make it look like it's from Amazon. It's called Photoshop, right? The elaborate, and people click on these things because they just see free, I won something. Everybody wants to win something. You don't want to win a cyber attack. So if it's too good to be true, it normally is. Sense of urgency. Very often these messages will say you need to respond. I need you now. This is important. So be aware of that. Hyperlinks. Avoid clicking on hyperlinks in email messages unless you are certain it came from. And it's even, and we used to be able to say that. If you know who it is from, okay, you can trust it. But even now, if you know in those previous messages I just showed you, Jordan Norley and Michael Gailey, these are names we all know. So you go, I know that person, but today that's not good enough because the cybercrime has gotten so elaborate, they can now fake people's names and make it look it's coming from them or coming from Amazon. So that's not even good enough. If you trust it, don't, you're okay. Always double check, especially when they're asking you to click on hyperlinks or download files, attachments. Avoid opening up attachments unless you are really certain that it's a legitimate attachment. And all these things, they can be very difficult in your professional life because you have work to do. I'm looking at Wendy, who I'm sure you get tons of attachments from contractors and other people, and you need to do that. We have had hacks come into a building and housing with people to get hacked. Our postage machine, we have a postage machine that we mail. That company got hacked, and we had to take that thing offline for a while. So even the people you trust, you have to really always be aware of what you're reading and just take an extra second to think about it before you take action. Unusual sender, of course. If you don't know who this person is, don't worry about it. If you really don't, especially at home, you're getting things. I just had one, I think yesterday, in my personal mail that said it was a banking site and they were having a problem with my account. I don't know who that banking account is. I just deleted it. I didn't even think about it. Banks normally will reach out to you by phone or by mail. They're not going to send you emails asking you to take action. Up here, I have here, this is going to beware holidays. Cybercrime always spikes during holidays. Just this past July 4th, we really had a problem on July 4th weekend, which is tons of mail coming in. With so much, Barracuda was having a tough time keeping up with it. And so July 4th, Thanksgiving Eve is another big one, and Christmas weekend is a big one because these cyber criminals know we were all distracted. You know, the reason that 2 years ago on Thanksgiving Eve, it was a Wednesday at 4 o'clock, I was leaving here. And as I was leaving, a bombshell of a cyber attack was just, took all weekend to just keep up with it. It was so bad, we were on the phone with Barracuda trying to figure out why it was coming in so much and to avoid it getting to your inboxes. Because they know people are getting ready for the holiday and they want to leave. And IT staff, you guys might not notice, but we are regular people. We're just like you. We like our personal time, we like our families and our friends. So we want to get out of here too. And the cyber criminals know that. So they know everyone's distracted. So especially at home, beware of the holidays if you're looking at your email. Now, like I said, it's also your text messages and your phone, calling your phone. So what are they trying to do when they're sending these emails? Well, they're trying to steal your information. They're trying to have you volunteer your information to them by answering their questions and clicking on links and so forth. And what they're also trying to do is lock your files. Because if they can lock your files and lock your data, you may be willing to give them money to get that back. And they do this by what we call encrypting the data. So and we do this all the time. They're using normal technology that banks and email providers and all kinds of vendors use on the internet. When you communicate, you're on your phone, and the reason you can be on your phone and do banking, because all your transactions are encrypted between you and the bank. So no one in the middle can see or get that information. So that's a legitimate purpose of encrypting your data or your information. Cyber criminals go in and they encrypt it and they hold the key, and they're going to tell you, and I'll show you some, I think I have some screenshots here, of them telling you, you have 7 days, you have 24 hours to send this money or we are going to throw away the encryption key. And they're telling the truth there. If they throw away that encryption key, no one on this planet is going to be able to retrieve those files. And very often, I have got this note here that a lot of these cyber criminals, they will pretend to be law enforcement. They will pretend to be the FBI. They will try to scare you into providing information. And what I'm saying here, when they pretend to be law enforcement or the FBI, they will say, we've been monitoring your computer and we see bad activity. And we are going to release that activity to the public if you don't provide information. Now, you will be surprised how many people actually will pay that, and they've done nothing wrong. There's nothing bad in their computer. They did nothing wrong, but they're so scared, they think maybe there is, and they will send them money. But be aware, the FBI and law enforcement will not send you emails threatening you. They're not going to do that, just like a bank. They're going to reach out to you the old-fashioned way by knocking on your door, calling your phone, talking to you, or sending you a mail. They're not going to send it through email. So there's different targets of ransomware. So people are a target. The general person is a target. However, the amount of money they're going to make off of you is relatively small if they're successful. So they have this balance of being successful, but not getting too big, because the bigger the company, the less likely they are to pay, because they have the resources not to have to pay. And they also have the resources to protect their organization against ransomware. So the biggest targets today are like universities, local governments, and police departments are terrible targets of these things. And what all three of them typically have is small technology staffs, low investment in cybersecurity infrastructure and training. And cyber criminals know this, so they target these organizations. Police departments are a biggie because they know the police departments don't want to lose all their data that they've accumulated over the past 30 years. And police departments have lost that kind of data. They have to go back to paper and pull it all back again or pay. I might have some samples here. I'm not going to show you. I might just look at these. See. Okay, so how to prevent ransomware from happening to you and to the organization? Keep your operating system patched and up to date. So we try to do that here. That's why sometimes your computers might slow down because they're running these updates during the day and they need to be done. We just recently put in a service where these updates should happen at nighttime after 7 p.m. So when you leave the office, do not turn your computer off. Lock it. Control, delete, and lock. Because when you lock it, no one can get into it. You or the system admin, me or Jeff. No one else. Like Mike Finley couldn't walk over to Wendy's computer if it's locked, and he can't log in even with his information. Can't log in. Just the administrator can. So what that does is that allows system updates and other things of that nature to happen while you're away. And you have the security to know it's locked. Now here, we don't have this problem. Don't install software or give administrative privileges unless you know exactly what it is. Meaning, no one in our organization can install a program by themselves. If you go to install a program, it is going to prompt you to contact IT. And Jeff or I will come over and we will run the install. That allows us to know what's on the network, allows us to make sure it's safe. A lot of organizations do not do that, even with bigger IT staffs, because it can be a pain running around installing programs all the time for people. However, the security protection is well worth the inconvenience of that. We have a police department which is 24/7. They're calling us all the time on the weekend and so forth to install a program for them, because lots of video or some other investigation they're doing. So we're just remote. We have the ability to remote in and do these things. So at home, it's not as easy. You don't have an IT staff. So you have to be very careful about what you install. Make sure you have a good antivirus program installed on your computer at home. Here we have one that's installed and we manage that for you. So that's awesome. At home, what I would recommend if you have Windows 10, which you should have anything older than that, is you do not have to pay for antivirus any longer if you're just a regular consumer. Just use the Microsoft Defender, which is built into Windows 10. The reason I recommend that is A, it's free. B, it has gotten much better over the past couple of years. And C, it's built into all the Windows updates. So Microsoft is doing the updates. When you do your Microsoft updates, it's updating the antivirus for you. And it runs its automatic scans. A few years ago, I would recommend purchasing one, but that's kind of, for a home user, I don't believe that's spending money somewhere else. And of course, back up your files. At home, you should pay for a cloud backup service. You can usually get one for maybe under $100 a year and have your files backed up in the cloud outside of your home computer and outside of your home. You know, even if you went this step and you had a separate hard drive and you had it backed up on your separate hard drive in your home, but you know, heaven forbid there was a fire or something happened to your home, you're physically going to lose that information. And hard drives and computers do just give up the goose and die. So you really want to have a backup solution that is outside of your home or outside of your small business, right? And the reason that backup is important because it backs up your files, like a different version of it, for maybe 30 days. So if a file gets corrupted on the 18th, you can go back to the 17th or the 16th and pull a previous version of that file before it was damaged. So that's why you really want to have good backups and have them off-site, cloud. It's got a couple stats here. So just give you an example about how bad ransomware has gotten. In 2015, there was $325 million of damages. And now in 2021, it's up to $20 billion worldwide in damages by ransomware. And how are they calculating those damages? They're calculating them two ways: the money people or companies are paying out, and the money it takes to rebuild your network. Because if your network is really damaged by ransomware and it's locked and your files are gone, you are going to have to build a new network from the ground up. I have a story here. I'm not going to share. I have a couple of videos. I really don't want to waste your time with the videos, but to be honest, you can watch them later, where you see some of these news stories about these cybercrime events that have happened. And just in the healthcare sector alone, like $6 trillion by the end of 2021 has been, because they are very susceptible. Healthcare and universities and local governments are very susceptible to this. So I had these are videos. I'm not going to make you guys watch these videos, but I will send a PowerPoint if you want to watch them. But these are just all recent stories. This one here, the Washington D.C. police was in May. Yes, because I was in Disney. And that department lost everything. Washington D.C. police was hacked, and everything was locked down. And I believe they paid, because a police department is going to freak out. They want their data back. 21 communities in Texas got hacked all at the same time earlier this year. So these are just some stories that you can watch later if you want to. So there's a couple of theories here. Don't want to about what to do if you're a victim of ransomware. Well, first, if you have good backups of your solutions, you can go offline. You can find a backup that is unaffected several days back, hopefully, and kind of rebuild your data from that. So you may lose a few days if you catch it in time. So that's one way. Make sure you have good backups. So if you are a victim of this, your organization or you have older data you can go back to and reduce the amount of damage there. The other thing, I don't have it here, is companies and people need to really investigate in security as a basic service. The government really does not recommend paying ransom. It'd be like having a robber go in and rob a bank, and you pay them to get the money back. You know, you really don't want to pay criminals because it just incites them to do it more. And this is what's happening. The reason ransomware attacks are on the rise is because it's working for them. If it stops working for them, perhaps it will help reduce the amount of attacks. And yes, Tina. Well, so the question is, do we know who's doing these attacks? Well, it's everyone from hackers, American hackers. The big ones are probably China and Russia, and it's because these countries don't have any controls over these people, these cyber criminals. They don't control them. They don't want to control them. They like them making havoc in the rest of the world. So as we're in the United States, if someone is caught doing that, they're going to be prosecuted. In some other countries, that perhaps they actually will, maybe Russia, maybe the government's not doing a lot of these. Joe Biden just said that he doesn't think the actual government's doing a lot of these, but they are certainly sitting back and allowing it to happen because they like the chaos that it causes. Yeah, we can't control what's happening there. What we have to do is we have to protect ourselves by a lot of these practices, and it's everywhere from security to backups to training to the use of common sense and a lot of these things. But our government is starting to make some decisions, I believe, in this realm. And one is not to allow victims of cyber crime, of ransomware, to pay. It will become illegal for you to pay a cyber criminal to get your data back. The reason they want to do that is if so many people don't pay, organizations don't pay, it becomes less profitable. And organizations also, like us, we have cyber security insurance. So if we are a victim of a ransomware attack that's successful, our insurance company will pay up to a certain amount of money to help us reduce our losses. Insurance companies probably not much longer from now are not going to be able to provide that insurance. Meaning, the idea here is, instead of the organizations paying money to their insurance company, perhaps they will be inspired to pay money to have their own security infrastructure, technology staff, training, and take personal responsibility, as opposed to sitting back, getting a ransomware attack, and hoping your insurance, will cover the damages. But what your insurance can't cover is all your downtime and your loss of credibility in whatever industry you're working in, that you can protect your own data. And also, when people pay ransomware, there are many cases where the cybercriminal actually does not give them $10 for your data back. I'm just giving you a small number. And they go, oh, no, now it's $20. So even when you pay, you're dealing with criminals. So even when you pay them, there's no guarantee they're going to give you your data back. And remember this, even if they give you your data back, they probably have still made copies of it. So now all that data that your organization had, you may have it back, but they have a copy of it too. And if, like us as a local government, we have a lot of personal information of people, right? Just imagine you're a healthcare provider, but let that personal information go. So paying is not really the best way. So what is data privacy? We're going to talk about that for a second. Think about this. Anything you would not comfortably tell someone, like if I met Tina for the first time, she'd have no problem saying, hey, my name's Tina. What's your name? My name's Bill. Beyond that, you probably want to start telling her all your secrets. And so I'm certain she wanted to tell me hers. That's your personal information, okay? And you'll be surprised how much people can learn from you just from your mobile phone, from your photos, your email, files maybe you have stored there. You can learn a lot of things from you just from your mobile device, and you don't want people to have that. So that's your personal data that you don't want people having. So you have to treat all these things with the same care that you would treat not giving me all your personal information when I meet you. And that means if you're at a restaurant and you get up to go to the bathroom, you're certainly not going to leave your purse or your wallet or your mobile phone on a table. We've all done this. You walk away and you go, oh, I forgot my phone, forgot my wallet or my purse. I don't have a purse, by the way, but I've seen this happen where you're going to immediately walk back and get that because you don't want it exposed to people to steal it. Well, we have to treat our data, or digital data, the same way and have it locked down. So I have on here, let me see. Another thing I want to talk about here is why is data privacy so important? What I will say is one thing, what I have here is talking about hospitals where their personal information, the reason hospitals are a danger of this, because they have so much information about people, right? They have all of your health information. They cannot afford to have it stolen. People will sue them, and people do. So a breach in a hospital or a doctor's office is terrible. And it happens all the time. And one thing I'll say about data privacy, when you hear that Walmart got hacked or Facebook got hacked, we've heard these before. Chase got hacked. By the time you're hearing it, that hack is 3 or 4 months old. Because these companies do not want to tell you. It is not good for Facebook or Twitter or Microsoft or a bank or Sears to say they got hacked. They lose the credibility of their customers. Well, freak out. They normally will not announce that until the government makes them do it. Gets investigated. You have to tell your customers. But by the time they've told you, it's too late. So that's why you hear about these hacks all the time. If you just watch the news for 1 week, you're going to hear about 3 or 4 companies that their personal information got hacked. User names, user email addresses, sometimes user passwords, depending on what kind of system they have, dates of birth, all the things that we have. Your shopping list, if my Amazon account got hacked, there we go. Okay, well, Billy buys a lot of Star Trek Blu-rays. No, they can find a lot of information about it just by your shopping list. So no one wants that. So these companies don't want you to know about it, but they all end up having to tell you eventually. But usually it's too late by then because it's been months that they've had your information. And I'm going to touch on how you can protect yourself from that. So now, when these companies announce it, it's too late. So I don't. Do I have anything on here about passwords? I do somewhere, so I'll wait until I talk about it. At home, okay. I guess some stuff in here that's kind of nonsense, like locking your mailbox. I'm just going to lock the mailbox. But make sure you shred all your documents, or your credit card bills, or all of your anything with your name and address on it. You should be shredding these things. It's unfortunate, but everyone should have a shredder somewhere in their home, and these documents should be shredded and not torn up and thrown in the trash. Because criminals will go old-fashioned, and they will go through trash, and they will tape things up to try to find information. All these credit card, invitations we get, it's got a lot of information about you on there. So you really don't want to just be throwing these things away. You want to make sure your home Wi-Fi is locked up and secure, meaning if someone wants to connect to your Wi-Fi, you need to provide them with a password to get on your Wi-Fi. Hopefully everyone does that. Every once in a while, change the password. Don't automatically provide your social security number to people unless you're certain that they need it. And I might touch on this after this. I have another slide on this, but you need to have strong, unique passwords on every account you have. So your Facebook password should be different than your Twitter password, and the Instagram password should be different than your banking password. So that means a lot of passwords. I think I have a slide here somewhere about that. We'll touch on that in a minute. Some other things you can do is do not, if you're out at a restaurant or a hotel or at a resort or some other place outside of your office or home, do not just connect to their Wi-Fi networks unless you really, really have to. And you certainly do not want to be doing any banking on a free Wi-Fi network. Most of our mobile devices now come with what they call a personal hotspot. You can check to see if you have it, if it's active. Or if anyone who has a phone here has it. And what you do is you're out and you need to do banking with your computer, turn your personal hotspot on and connect through your phone, or do your personal banking on your phone with the Wi-Fi off. The reason I recommend this is because the cellular networks, be it T-Mobile, Verizon, or AT&T, they're encrypted. That data is encrypted when you work it off the cell network. If you're working off a free Wi-Fi, there is no guarantee that that's encrypted. It probably is not. So other tips I have is have separate emails for different things. You don't have to have just one personal email account, right? Like I have a Gmail account that I kind of use for signing up for newsletters and other services like my YouTube and stuff. I have an email for that. Then I have another email, an Outlook email that is kind of like my professional personal one that I use for home for legitimate things. So I have one that's for kind of like social media and things that aren't important, and then one for my regular important business, then my work email. So try to think of separating your email accounts out like that. Of course, strong passwords. I will touch on that in a minute. Two-factor authentication. On most of my accounts, whenever possible, I have two-factor authentication on things. I think I do have a slide about just describing that. Beware of phishing scams. I said this. Read every email with some care. Avoid clicking on links. Avoid opening attachments. Have your antivirus program updated and make sure it's running regular scans. Careful of public Wi-Fi's. Treat your mobile phone like it's a computer. Your mobile phone really is a computer now. Matter of fact, many years ago, I was taking a CGCIO course, which is Certified Government Chief Information Officer. That was a 16-month course out of Rutgers, and the first thing the professor said to all these CIOs, this is like 2016. He's holding up his mobile phone. He goes, "This is not a mobile phone. This is a computer with a phone app on it." So you think of it that way. One of the things you do least on your phone is talk on it. We do that, But we do a lot of other things. We do email, we do banking, we do all kinds of things on there. So treat it like a computer and make sure it's secure. Make sure you have a PIN on there, a PIN code. If it has facial recognition, make sure you use these things. So if you do lose your phone, you can be pretty secure and someone can't break into it. You know, if you do lose your mobile phone, you can call your provider and then they can remotely wipe that phone for you, turn it into they brick the phone. So if you call your provider and say, I can't find it, I'm not gonna be able to find this darn thing. Then you have them wipe it, and then the next day you find it in the backseat of your car. This is what happens, right? But better safe than sorry. And on your phone also, I'll say, a good thing to do is you do have photos and things you care about, sign up for like a cloud service like OneDrive or Dropbox, and have all your photos syncing up to the cloud. So if you drop your phone in a sewer grate, at least the photo you just took's up in the cloud, so you won't ever lose your photos. All the services have that. Let's see. I kind of covered some of this stuff on your phone. I don't want to talk about that too much. I don't have. I'm just going to talk a moment about passwords. All of your accounts should have different passwords. Now, none of us are like Mr. Spock and can remember everything or data, right? Just my two Star Trek references. So what you want to do is you need help to do that. So you want to use what you call a password manager. There are many of these now. There used to only be one or two, but now there's many. Like the one I recommend is LastPass. So you can go to lastpass.com, sign up. You can sign up for free. And what you can quickly start doing is it helps you create unique passwords for all of your accounts. It will do it for you. But you really want to pay for the professional version, which I think it's about $80 or $90 a year. But that's a great savings because you don't have to worry about thinking about your password. What is my password? Or having it exposed or using the same password everywhere because you can't remember so many. So if you have LastPass on the computer and on your mobile device, if you ask me today what my Facebook password is, I don't know. It's about 16 characters and it's encrypted. I have the LastPass on the app on my phone and it does all that for me. But if I go to any other device outside of my mobile device or a computer where I have installed, it's going to want these long encrypted passwords that someone's not going to know. Then if you add two-factor authentication to that, you need a strong password and you need a two-factor authentication code to get in. That's what we're going to start doing here pretty soon is the two-factor authentication. If anyone ever wants to sit down and talk about the password managers, I'm more than happy to sit down and kind of show you a couple of these. I've done classes just on password managers. They're really, really important because they're the only way you're going to be able to legitimately have a different password for all your accounts. Because we all have 30, 40, 50 accounts that some of these accounts you might only, like my Social Security, you can log into your Social Security account and see, what you retire, what you have in there. Well, that I might log into it once a year, so I can dream. And I don't know what the password is, but it's encrypted. It's in my password manager. That's some things like of that nature. If you use an account like once a year, you don't want to be changing it every time to something silly. You want to have a good, strong password. Talk about everything. So I don't have. Do I have anything else on this slide after this? I do. Hold on. What do I got here? Okay, two-factor authentication, real quickly. Does everyone know what two-factor authentication is? Everyone's used it. Even if you don't know you're using it, you do. If you forgot your password for the bank, they're typically going to text you like a PIN number to reset your account, or going to email you a number. That's two-factor authentication being forced on you. What you want to start doing is actively using two-factor authentication on as many accounts as you can. And much like a password manager like LastPass, you want to use an authenticator app. At the borough, and the one we're going to be using is the Microsoft Authenticator app. You can download that for free and use it quite simply. Google also has one, and LastPass has one. I recommend the Microsoft one. And so what you do is you can go to any of your accounts, and you can go into so you can go to your banking account. Now, ironically, some banks don't have it. Like, so I have your. I don't think Chase has it yet either, which is amazing. The ones that are lagging behind, like Facebook has it, Twitter has it, LastPass has it. I have a whole bunch. I can look at my list and look at them all. But a lot of the banking institutions are lagging behind on this. But they'll get there. So when you log into your account, any of your accounts, you just go into your profile, go into security. You'll probably see on there multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication, and they're going to walk you through the steps of setting it up. So the first thing you want to do before you even do this is download an app and decide which one you want to use. So let's say it's Microsoft Authenticator or Google. They will have like a UPC code on there for you to scan it with your phone, and then it sets it up for you. So whenever you log in on to those accounts from a device that you don't use all the time, it's going to say, hey, put in the 6-digit code that's in your Authenticator app. It's in the app. If you want to see it after this, I'll show it to you. You guys don't have it. It has I have about 15 or 16. A lot of them are work. A lot of them are personal. Every 30 seconds, the code is changing on all these. So you have to log in to your accounts and say, hey, we don't recognize this computer. What's your code? And you have to go and put that in. And that's a big way of protecting yourself. And one of the reasons where you want to do this in the borough is it will be another way of further protecting our data or information. We're going to be rolling out this slowly because there's some challenges with it. So what I have here is, I just talked about this, two-factor authentication requires 2 ways to provide your identity. And you can do it through an Authenticator app. You can do it through, have them send you a text message to your mobile device. You can have them send you an email to another email account. There's multiple ways that you can do these. I prefer the Authenticator app. It's the most secure way of doing it, but not everyone has the ability to do that. So this is kind of what the Authenticator app looks like. You can see, these are just screenshots. These are not mine, but you can see those 6 numbers, or the one down there that has like 8, they just change every 30 seconds. And when you go to log in on a device that hasn't recognized, it's going to ask you for that number. You open up your app and you put in the number. The idea is, even if someone has stolen your password, they're still going to need that number to get in. And it's also a great way to know if you're sitting around and you get a prompt for one of your accounts that is being logged into, and you know you didn't do it. Now they're not going to get in because they don't have that number. But I certainly would go into that account and change your password just to be safe. But it really is it's an additional lock on your information. I look forward to pushing this out. We're going to start with managers and kind of work our way down to like different employees. So, it's easy for the managers and people that have mobile devices because we can just say download the Authenticator app. It's your mobile device. It's going to be a little more difficult for those who don't have that, but we still want to do something. Yes, so when we do it for Microsoft, when we start going to each employee and saying, okay, we're turning it on for you, you're going to log into your portal. This is your little login up here. At the top right-hand corner, you see your picture or your name. You click on your account profile. You go to security information, and then you say it's going to say this is turned on, and it's going to say how do you want to do it, and you can pick the way you want to. You can say I want a text message. I want an email going to another email account, or I want a Authenticator app. So we're going to be walking the staff through this during the next couple months. That's all I have there. That's going to be a big achievement for us because organizations struggle to put into place multi-factor authentication because there's all types of employees at all different levels. They're all different equipment. but they're all using our data top to bottom. So the organization has a responsibility to try to put these things into place without super inconveniencing people. Does anybody have any questions? Mm-hmm. I just have to stay protected. So LastPass cannot reset your password. They don't have the ability because they don't have it, which tells you it's secure because they don't have your password. So if you can't figure it out, you're going to have to kill the account dead and you're going to do a new one. So what I recommend with any password manager is, and it will prompt you to do this, or recommend you do it, is when you have that password, print the password information, put it in a safe at home, same place you would put other secure documents you have. So if you have a brain freeze or something, or someone else needs it because you're not available, you know it's in your it's in your safe at home, along with all the other secure documents. The older we get, the more likely we are to forget things. So I have it. It's in a little safe at home along with our other secure documents. Or Disney World annual passes are there, all the important stuff. It's all there. So you print it so you don't forget it, because if you forget it, you're done. And that's all password managers kind of do that. No security is 100%. Password manager is not 100%, because there is a scenario where for some reason my phone is unlocked and they get to it and my password is saved in here. I go to, if I open up LastPass right now, it opens up because I'm allowing it to do that. When you install like LastPass on your mobile device and you say save password, it prompts you like 3 times. Do you really want to do this? Do you really want to do this? Do you? Now, I made a command decision myself to do that because I know I have a PIN, I have facial recognition on there. I'm pretty comfortable. It's secure there. But there are choices we all have to make. Because that long password is long. It's got to be like 18 digits and encrypted. Like when they say encrypted, what they mean is like uppercase, lowercase numbers, special characters, and over like 14 characters at least in length, or 12. So it's a long password to have to keep typing if you want to go into LastPass all the time, or any password manager. So you have to make that choice. But I would suggest, so like a company like LastPass lets you set up a free account on your computer, but it's not you can't install it on your mobile app. That you got to pay for that. And a password manager, it really is only beneficial to you if it's available on the devices you need it to be on, right? But I would say today, if this is like $100 a year, all the brain power you have saved by not having to think about your passwords all year long, and all the time you've saved by not having to do that or even worry about your account getting hacked. So let's say you're sitting at home, you're watching the news, and you see that Target has been hacked. This has happened to Target, where their customer data, when they say hacked, what they mean is their customer database has been leaked. It's out there. So if you have an online Target account or any information with them, they may have it. And so when they get the customer database, they know it's mfinley@outlook.com, and they know it's Michael Finley, they might have his address. Now, if the company's doing their job, his password is encrypted, which means they don't see his password. But they do see his email address, and they do see his name. So what they will do is, depending on how, if you have a simple password like Firetruck1, they have software that they run on his username, his email address, his name, and Target or whatever, and they're going to it just checks, it checks everything to try to find a combination that is his password. And if they find it, okay, you might go, I don't care about Target. I've never even bought nothing there. I don't know why they have my password. I don't care. But if you use that same password at Chase, what the first thing they're doing with that is they're cross-checking your email address and that password they just cracked with all the financial institutions out there. So if you're using that password across the board, they will, what you thought was just a Target hack, now your credit card's money's being stolen out of your credit card or your bank, which is why you want separate passwords for every one. Because if one gets hacked, and you'd be surprised also how many companies don't encrypt your password. Don't trust them to do it. You know what I mean? Like I belong to the Victory Beer Club of the Month thing. I guarantee you, I like those guys. They're probably not encrypting my password. So I'm making sure that one's encrypted on my end and it's not used anywhere else. So don't trust these companies to actually protect your information. So $90 a year to not have to worry about it. So even if you have Walmart and they got hacked and you're using LastPass and you have a good encrypted password, you can go in here in 1 second and change that password just to do it, just to be extra safe. And yes, and they've added features now where you can share it with your spouse. So Kathy has some stuff on it. I got stuff on it, and it's easy to share with other people. Yeah. I recommend if anybody ever wants to sit down and just kind of like walk through it, setting it up, I don't mind helping you. And I sent some stuff today for it. But if he wants to sit down with me, I can make it do it with both of you if you want to. I'll come over and see you, Michael. Karen, do you hear how he begs me to go to the wastewater plant? But what's cool about here also, do you know how you, see, I got to delete this. I don't have a Verizon account anymore. How when you set up a password, it asks you for like 3 questions. Like, where was your father born? What's your favorite TV show? What's your favorite band? What's the first concert you ever saw? Kiss, 1977 at the Spectrum. Yeah. That's the first concert I ever saw. The following weekend was ELO. How much was it? $24. No. So you were there. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm sure my father felt the same way. Um, why was they saying that? Why was they saying that about oh, the questions? Yeah, see, it's questions. So in these, okay, you can put this is Nolan. Just notes. You can put all the questions and stuff in there. You can note like some of these have them or not. Yeah, I got my dad's password in here because he can never remember it. So you can put notes in here. So you do these questions and it comes up as a recap of all your answers. Just copy it, go over to your last page in your notes and paste it in there. So if you need to answer those questions and you can't remember what you did, you can go back and find your notes. So it's really good for that. You can put all kinds of information in here, not just the passwords, but that's kind of what it's used for. So that's one of the ones I recommend. I mean, that's the biggest one. They've been around a very long time. And do training with them, say. So, but you can sign for free and start setting it up. And then you go, yeah, I like this. Then you just, it's funny, we'll go out for dinner on a Friday night and spend $65, but I'm not paying for that password manager. What are you talking about? Right? So it's where we find value in things. Any other questions? No? I'm going to stop recording this now. 1 second.